Welcome everywhere to the last final deciding game of the series. It is game number 3 between Scary Faces and Next.kz in the game show Invitational, sponsored by Asus, Plantronics, SP, eBattle, and probably a couple of others as well. But we're HeflaTV, the English coverage for you. I'm Couchor. I'm going to be joined by GrandisV once again. Do you think Scary Faces are going to ban out that Leshrac or Undying now?
Maybe. It worked really well for Next.kz. In all honesty, I loved their draft. It was very aggressive and they made it work. They got off to a good start, although it looked shaky there for a second. As Scary Faces kind of were coming back into it and fighting valiantly. They just got so much farm under their spend through stacks and through efficiency on the map. And I think that's a problem with Scary Faces in the last game. They had a lot of downtime on their supports where they really weren't doing much with them. The Bane was protecting farms, sure, and that was nice and all, but the Ogre, especially early on, didn't really do much, didn't get any kills, didn't secure farm for the Queen of Pain, and didn't stack up for later on, and in that sense, it really kind of delayed the effectiveness of the pick. In all honesty, it felt like Scary Faces weren't running at 100% efficiency that game, and Next.kz were, so they ended up winning.
Yeah, indeed so, but so far draft is a little bit slower, at least from Scary Faces, but Undying was the ban by the end of it, as Next.kz banning out the Beastmaster as well as that Night Stalker. Beastmaster, of course, at the moment is definitely one of the stronger heroes, but Scary Face's first big Chen to come out, is this something that's going to indicate like a full-on pushing strategy to come, or do you think it's just a jungler to get a little bit of XP and gold advantage?
The nice thing for Scary Faces is that they don't have to be stuck in either slot. They can end up just going all in with the push, but they have more than enough time to consider their options and consider what they're going to end up doing with this Chen. It's a hero that they're comfortable playing and they pick fairly often, and well, it was banned out by themselves last game, but this time it's available, so I think it's a reasonable way to start things off. Worst case scenario, you do just have the Chen in the jungle farming up in Mac Arcanes and offering some utility to the team, although ideally you would like to get aggressive early. For Next.kz, they're going to pick up Leshrac and Gyrocopter. I think we've seen the Gyro for Scary Faces 2 times around. It'll be interesting to see how Next.kz utilize the hero.
I mean, definitely both are strong heroes. We already saw them use the Leshrac. And well, Scary Faces now, we are gonna get the Dragon Knight from them. Of course, Dragon Knight is also a hero that does help out in pushing quite a bit with the Corrosive Breath there. So it's nice to see now. Also, Corrosive Breath is a little bit better now in like fighting situations, because I do believe it was made so that it's actually lethal damage now. So Dragon Knight, definitely a good pick, and I'm really hoping to see like more of a pushing strategy. Maybe even go for like a Lone Druid, Nature's Prophet, something like that.
That might be a little bit too much for my taste, at the very least, committing that hard into pushing, and I think that would be at the cost of them having initiation. Dragon Knight eventually might build into a Blink or Shadow Blade or even that Silver Edge item, given the right situation. Although it would be scary amount of tower damage that Scary Faces could pump out, I wouldn't want to see them run into a situation where they can't do anything to start fights to actually access that push.
It's definitely a thing that you have to just take into consideration, just getting a way to start the push like you just mentioned. So we'll see if they can get it, but they may need a pipe, for example, this game as well, if they do want to go for heavier pushing, because otherwise Lightning Storm, maybe even like Call Down coming in. It's definitely not all that hard for Next.kz to stop the push already with the 2 heroes that they have at the moment.
Yeah, well, at the moment, Next.kz are going to ban out the Broodmother, and for Scary Faces, it's Sven and Clockwork taken out of the pool, and a Phantom Lancer by Next.kz, so things are starting to roll. It seems that Next.kz are very scary of just this raw amount of push coming out from a variety of units, and a lot of pressure being applied on the map, and I suppose fair enough. Next.kz going to pick up a Rubik, presumably as support, and even if it isn't our supporting duo, Rubik can very easily gank for a Leshrac if he's played in mid, which is probably going to be the case.
Yeah, and Rubik all in all is, once again, just maybe not the greatest abilities to steal so far, but Rubik in general is like really, he has never even been a bad support. He's always been solid, maybe not the best in some situations, but you can never go wrong with a Rubik pick. You have a just point-click stun pretty much. You have a nuke with the Fate Bolt, and even the Null Field can come into play later on as well, just getting extra magic resistance for your team that way. Like, you have the Null Field, you get like a Glimmer Cape as well, and suddenly somebody is almost immune to magic damage for that duration.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Rubik's never going to be bad per se, unless he gets nerfed in the ground, which would be something to behold. As long as the enemy team has a good lineup, there's always good stuff to steal, excuse me. Although maybe not this game at the moment. Chen, his Spells are pretty mediocre. Dragon Knights are okay, but also not the greatest. But now it's going to be Spirit Breaker for Scary Faces. This is going to be a hero to start fights for them, and a fairly aggressive one at that. I like the pick, just in general and in this game as well.
Yeah, the one thing, of course, the Spirit Breaker does require is that level 6. Before that, you can also be rather useful with a couple of charges, maybe a couple of lucky bashes coming in there as well. But from level 6, once you get the Nether Strike, that's really when that hero comes online and starts to be extremely annoying there. But Next.kz, they do go for the Invoker once again. Last game, I was hoping to get that maxed out Deafening Blast, but I think the game ended when Invoker was like level 14, maybe 15 by the end of it, so still was a long way to go. This game though, depending on how fully Scary Faces really want to go into the pushing, may also not be once again just a long game. Of course, in general, I favor short games rather than long ones, but I just want to see the Deafening Blast.
I'm with you for sure. It's a very entertaining thought, and I want to see a team use it like very effectively. The refresher combos you can do with that could be insane, but that's probably a discussion for another game. I think Scary Faces at the moment are looking for just a very timing-based lineup. They're going to pick up a Lion next, which will bump Spirit Breaker into more of a farming role, probably going to be played as their off-laner. I'm not sure how I feel about this pick, however. Lion's burst damage is going to be really nice at dealing with Gyrocopter pre-BKB, and similar story for Leshrac before he builds up some tank. But even so, I'm not sure if there's going to be enough room to get him experience. Scary Faces, since they are going to be 5-manning so much, might be a little bit starved for levels, although probably enough to get him level 6. I'm not sure how quickly they will.
Yeah, especially since now, well, I suppose having a jungler is definitely a little bit easier so, but man, Lion, always there is the downside of just being squishy, but that's something you have to deal with. As last bans now, Temper Assassin banned by Scary Faces. They of course wouldn't really have any way to deal with the refraction so far. Whereas Slark is the one banned by Next.kz, but Next.kz they do require an offlaner I believe. So might we see a Centaur for example now?
Potentially. I think Centaur is a hero that should be seeing a little bit more play as of late and would be reasonable for Next.kz. There's still a lot of heroes inside the pool, however, and really if they do want that hard initiation, I don't see a reason to look away from Batrider. The nerfs do hit him quite hard, but it's still possible to jungle with him, although maybe it takes a little bit more levels instead. Ooh, I can't say no to a Huskar. It's going to be that for them.
Wow, that's a pick I have to say I didn't really expect, but Scary Faces, they don't have the scariest amount of physical damage at the moment, and when you're all up against magic damage, Huskar definitely a good hero. Spirit Breaker kind of has to be the one to assassinate the Huskar, get the Huskar low, and then maybe just save the Nether Strike to end up the kill somehow. Maybe that's one way to approach things, but man, Huskar, like you said, you can never say no to that hero. It's always fun to see really just jumping around from hero to hero, life breaking them. Scary Faces do pick up a little bit of physical damage from the Bristleback. Also just a durable hero who may be able to survive the Huskar at the same time. But I have to say I rather still favor, maybe not favor, but at least like Next.kz's lineup. Huskar maybe not that stable of a pick, but all in all their lineup feels solid.
They have the potential to really explode, but then again, so does Scary Faces. I think, all things considered, their lineup is just a little bit more self-contained, and in all honesty, better. This is going to bump the Leshrac down into a support position, and as a support, although he does offer a decent amount of CC when combined with a reliable setup like Rubik's Telekinesis, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get enough farm to just avoid being food to the Scary Faces lineup. The supporting duo of Rubik Lesh is absolutely wet paper, and the physical damage from Scary Faces is immense, although Finger of Death from Lion isn't going to phase the Huskar at all. The Bristleback Quills are constantly going to be a nuisance, and at a certain point, armlet toggling is really going to be very difficult, and I think Huskar just doesn't function very well without that item.
Yeah, probably not so, and we'll see if he's gonna go for that, because I think the last time I saw Huskar, I'm not too sure even if it was with you, it was for an American game at least, that's how much I remember. It was a mid lane Huskar who went for like boots into armlet, just brown boots into armlet or something.
That's the South American build.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's an American game. I haven't seen any other region of the world do that, but they do it pretty consistently. It's very interesting to see. For the time being, he's going to load out with 2 tangos and a salve that's going to be played by Han, it seems. The rest of their players, mid going to be playing on the Invoker, David K on the Rubik, Lucky on the Lesh, and Gyrocopter handled by Tupor.
As for Scary Faces, Eknard will be handling the Lion, leaving Quista on the Bristleback with Tilted, playing the mid lane Dragon Knight. Shadow is gonna be on the Chen, and they might go for an aggressive try with a Chen. It may or may not work out, and that's gonna leave Ramses 666 playing the Spirit Breaker safe lane, as there is a 5-man smoke into the enemy jungle. I suppose they want to just block off a couple of camps, and little do they know that those wards may be completely wasted.
Well, in the end, looks like Scary Faces are clumped up as a group and just looking to secure this bottom banner. And Spirit Breaker is the only one that's not involved. Ramses is just kind of awkwardly hiding inside the trees up towards top. The smoke from Next.kz is not going to get them any kills, but even so, I don't think it's wasted time after all. Chen, at the very least, should probably check his jungle, and it's a little bit of time that he's going to spend that he didn't spend otherwise. And I suppose it's only 200 gold invested by Next.kz to do that. I think it's probably going to even out, even if he does go to the aggressive jungle eventually.
Well, it was also a smoke that was wasted in a sense, but then again, you would want your smokes to be on cooldown from the shop anyway, and well, that is the same story for Scary Faces. Although I think in the first game it was Next.kz not buying an immediate smoke and just having them randomly sit in the store and do nothing with it. And last game it was Scary Faces. So in game 1 and 2, one team didn't go for the immediate smoke, at least purchase it, maybe not use it immediately, but this time around both sides go for it, so now it's so much harder to predict the winner, man. Last game there was like a pattern, but not anymore.
Huskar going to throw a couple Burning Spears into Shadowing, spots him out, placing down the Observer Ward over on the high ground. So they at the very least know where the vision of Scary Faces is, and that in and of itself is very valuable intel. Regardless, Huskar's going to have a pretty poor time in this lane, especially if it stays a dual lane against the Lion and Bristleback. Against the Bristleback by himself, although he can function, also runs into the issue that Bristleback just has more damage, even though he has opted to start with a decent chunk of stats.
And actually one thing to note, that this Observer Ward, the Radiant one, in their own jungle, does block out the big camp, so it's slowing down Chen even further. Hasn't been able to get a single creep, finally has to get that Ghost Min. It's not that bad because it slows, but it's not the greatest either by any means. Huskar in the meantime does take quite a bit of harassment, I mean, starting with 1 base armor, just not all that fun. In the meantime, top lane Ramses already level 2.5. But this lane shouldn't be all that great. The one thing that he has going for him is that he may be able to charge out after the telekinesis if it's really bad for him.
Honestly, I think Chen getting a Mud Golem would have been better. I think it farms a little faster, and Shadow is probably just going to end up replacing his creep after all is said and done. We don't get to see him show that ghost creep much love. There's going to be rocket lands up towards top onto Ramses, but looks like it's just some casual harass. At the moment, the lanes are fairly static and probably won't see very many rotations, at the very least until Chen gets another creep.
It's really hard to aggressive jungle as a Chen in all fairness, but he's gonna make the best he can from that situation. Also maybe gonna pick up the double damage. Oh, bottom lane we have the Earth Spike land, there's the Hex as well, we might have the first blood, a couple more Quill Sprays, and indeed Quista picks it up on the Bristleback. That is a really important kill for you to get if you're running an aggressive try or a pseudo tri lane of sorts.
Yeah, that is very also unfortunate for the Huskar, is he's going to lose a lot of his momentum. He's running with a truckload of regen, but it didn't help him there. Honestly, I think maybe going for a casual Ring of Protection would have been better this lane, in all honesty. He's eventually going to get his hands onto a stick. That's also a mandatory item. Charge way up towards top, as Spirit Breaker is going to buy himself some space away from the heroes there, and he's going very aggressively into mid, although not charging the Invoker. Will it actually connect? Do they have detection for mid? No, again, we're going to see a Quaswex Invoker, and again, they don't have ways to stop him from getting that Ghost Walk off, so in the end, he's going to be able to casually walk that one away.
Rubik also didn't manage to get that last hit onto the Troll as well, so got himself 55 gold from it.
Hex down towards bottom, Earth Spike, and a little bit of Quill damage, another kill on Huskar.
And double damage on Lion, definitely helping out there. Physical damage, the biggest enemy to Huskar, although at the moment, it's not like his magic resistance will be that high, only 2 points into Berserker's Blood. And the one thing that is with the Huskar matchup that he's facing at the moment, usually it's like, I'm up against a Bristleback, Magic Stick, no problem, like, guaranteed I'm gonna go for that item. If you're the Huskar though, I mean, yes you can still get some health back from it, but you're not really doing all that much with the mana aspect, so Magic Stick isn't all that great for Huskar. I mean, it's better on almost any other hero.
I mean, if he does get a point in Inner Vitality, he can cast it more than once at level 1, so I suppose that's kind of nice. They're going to have another Hexer Spike onto Lucky, and he's not going to be so lucky as Quist is going to dive him. No way to stop this Bristleback. He's going to get that extra cools from the tower shots and end up killing off the Lesh. Bottom lane is an unmitigated disaster. Bristleback's off to a roaring start, already at a killing spree, which is impressive. He has 1,000 gold. They bring in the Gyrocopter, but that's only going to slow things down as they get a dive up top. Oh my goodness, this Huskar cannot catch a break. Will they get a bash? He's salving up, it gets cancelled, and then Spirit Breaker bashes him down. This Huskar is worth nothing anymore.
It's really the matter of, I mean, Scary Faces, them getting farm is like acceptable if you yourself also get farm, but just not really happening. So Scary Face is definitely a great start. But if you look at the Gyrocopter's last hits, he is quite comfortably number 1 there, 28 for him. So it's definitely not lost. I mean, Chen isn't farming spectacularly well either at this point in time. But Bristleback has that ring of health already, so probably gonna go for the Vanguard as now the gank is coming in. They just need a telekinesis. River Spike will come, but not of the heroes who can actually disable Leknard. And with this, that's gonna be 1 kill. Quista hanging around, gonna get slowed down by the Lightning Storm. Is he really trying to go for it? It doesn't even have enough mana for like, well, never mind. That 1 Quill Spray was just enough to get the Gyrocopter and almost even the Leshrac.
Yeah, I think the Leshrac just killed this Gyro with that stun in the end. Lucky's going to survive inside this lane, but Bristleback is getting out of control. He has Arcane Boots, Ring of Health already, and Quist is going to be able to sustain himself nicely. I'm actually a little bit surprised they didn't just go straight up for the Vanguard at the moment. Maybe we're going to end up seeing Arcanes into Mech and the Guardian Greaves. It's a pretty cool build for Bristleback that we might see. Charge in mid is going to be cancelled as the Spirit Breaker feels that's a little too deep, and probably right. The Invoker was under his tier 1 tower, nobody else was close.
So I really think it's gonna be those Guardian Greaves, because otherwise going for Arcane Boots on the Bristleback maybe not the best item to go for. But I just hope that they're not gonna make the mistake of the Chen still trying to go for the Mech regardless or something like that. But speaking of the Chen now, trying to rotate, Smoke's a little bit too late, but even that Smoke was under the Observer ward, so Shadow, slight mistake there in the positioning, and well, he can still try to go for it, but even if he doesn't get the kill, it's still holding the Huskar back from farming, because he knows some of this smoke and can't really go up to the creeps.
Yeah, this is terrifying. He's a level 5 Huskar, and that's alright, I suppose, 6 minutes in. The issue is that his items are abysmal for this time. He has Circlet Gauntlet, 2 branches, and that's it. Yeah, he has a long road to recovery. If they do go for the Mech and eventual Guardian Greaves on the Chen, Bristleback might go for an Octarine Core. You get lifesteal from Quills, and the reduced cooldown is actually so sick you're able to sneeze every 1 second. Well, even without the goo, they should be able to get this kill into Rubik. He gets bashed down, survives on 6 HP, 1 more Quills. Is going to get that a mega kill for Quista. He's balling out of control.
Well, there's always one positive with that for the enemy team as well, that there is kind of a big bounty on the Bristleback already, having those 5 kills in a streak here. But then again, Bristleback, one of the harder heroes to actually kill as well when he has the streak. So it's still something that Next.kz have going for them. Especially if you get like a huge health pool, Life Break is just going to do a little bit more damage because it is percentage based. So it's not like they can't bring down this Bristleback at the moment, not that tanky quite yet. They have 2 heroes bottom lane, but those 2 I don't think are going to be enough. Maybe if they also had cooldown.
Potentially, but Gyrocopter is lacking in level 6. Gyro's committed pretty heavily into Rocket Barrage, however, so the damage they're pumping out is pretty significant. But Lion, rotating towards mid's been spotted out by a ward. Maybe they can collapse onto him and get this kill. Leshrac is level 3, probably can't do this by himself, and is also at a little bit of Nate danger. He's going to bring in mid from the sidelines. Lion walks that one off. Whether he knew it or not, is going to feel something's up. In the end, Bristleback's left alone down towards bottom. Without Goo, he can't chase down the Gyrocopter with those phase boots. So we'll survive to bring 3 heroes down towards bottom for the Next.kz side.
Oh, I would really like to see Dragon Knight pick up a TP for himself at the moment. Then again, his haste I think was about to expire anyway, but he's gonna go back to the mid lane. If he gets the stun, they need more disables to before. Yes, they even popped the dust just in case. There's the Earth Spike as well. It should be an easy kill with the haste rune on Dragon Knight. The Tornado buys a little bit of time, but tilted. Can he keep on going? Nope, the life break is there. And well, suddenly he is screwed because of the Tornado getting rid of that haste rune there. That's probably something that the Dragon Knight wasn't expecting.
Yeah, well played by the Invoker. A lot of times when you are ganked, you would like to go into that Ghost Walk, but since he was dusted, he made the right choice, and it was a very good one, making the best out of a bad situation. In fact, since they were behind, they actually get a better trade down towards bottom. They're chasing forward for the Gyrocopter, but Bristleback is not fast enough. Even with the Warpath up, he can't chase down the Phase Boots Gyro. Now Leshrac comes in from the north with a little help from the Rubik, but Bristleback doesn't care. Now a charge through is going to land. The stun is going to delay Quista, but still this Bristleback is scary, even at low HP. But now with the Tornado EMP, that's going to help out a lot. Drain very low, and with Cold Staff, a little bit more damage. 1 auto attack from the Invoker is all that they need. The Mega Kill is ended, and now Invoker's sitting on the majority of an Oblivion Staff.
Easy money, I have to say, man. It was just going a little bit too deep. Of course, Charkov really well done by himself in even escaping. Call down, just perfectly used, perfectly positioned there as well. And now Rubik is level 6, steals himself Holy Persuasion. Man, it's not the worst ability to steal, just get a little bit of extra farm from the jungle because nobody's really utilizing it anyway for them at the moment. Maybe the Gyrocopter later on, Husker a little bit so. But, man, just, first of all, they didn't completely feed away the Dragon Knight just because they got the Invoker kill anyway. But that fight in the bottom was definitely kind of a disaster for them.
Yeah, the biggest issue with Holy Persuasion on Rubik, if I'm not mistaken, you lose the creeps when you lose the spells, so he's not going to have those forever, so if he wants to get any value out of them, he has to do so now. But he's got to stack up with Wild Wing, so worst case scenario, he got a stack out of it, which is pretty darn good. In the end, there's going to be a collapse down towards bottom as Eknart looks for a wraparound onto the Invoker. Invoker caught out, hexed up with follow-up Earth Spike, Dust. They should be able to get this kill. They have Finger of Death. They're going to commit it and very easily get that kill. No time for Tornado or any reaction. Lucky going to drop a Lightning Storm, looking for the Split Earth, catches out the Dragon Knight, but no more. And Lucky is on such low HP, is going to be quilled down by the Bristleback. The additional TP, I believe, was cancelled. That was probably Gyro, but I know it actually wasn't. Who was TPing there? Maybe Huskar. Regardless, it's going to be a tower destroyed by Scary Faces as they look for a trade in mid. Although Tapor is not pushing fast enough to really pull this one off, and top is falling as well for Scary Faces.
So that's just the hill of a lot of gold coming in. All of a sudden, 2 towers going down. Shadowware, he's up to 2k gold on the Chen as well, but he gets jumped by the life break. But there's going to be another strike in return. They need a little bit more physical damage. There's the Tornado as well, buying some more time. Cooldown will just clip Ramses, and with that, it's going to be 2 kills in return. They came close to killing the Huskar, but just lack the end burst damage necessary.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Actually, it looks like Bristleback is going to be rushing that Octarine core. He has a point booster flying out towards himself, so Chen should be building in towards the mech and has it almost completed. If he bought that before he died, he would have been probably just a little bit shy, but even so, after that tower destruction is only 100 gold short. Scary Faces are primed and ready for a very scary push. They have a double damage rune spawning down towards bottom. If they had Goo, they might have even been able to go for Roshan, but at the cost of a tier 1 tower for sure. That's getting pressured up towards top as they charge in. Do they have the TPs to properly react to this?
Yeah, I'm not too sure if they even care all that much about it at the moment. It is always a little bit risky to just TP in if you don't have anybody there beforehand, and they're just gonna let it go. Ramses, he was charging but couldn't get there fast enough, and he has gone for a max charge build, only 2 points into bash and none into that empowering haste so far.
Yeah, I think that's completely fine. I personally really like the value point in empowering haste, and yeah, I think it's definitely worthwhile. But even without it, Ramses is able to contribute quite a lot. Although 1, 1, and 0 isn't the greatest of KDAs, he has more than enough time to remedy that back. Bristleback's going to farm up some Ancients. He has his Soul Booster all the way completed. Quista is well on his way towards getting that Octarine core, and as I said earlier, it's going to make him so very survivable with the amount of lifesteal that you get. It's pretty absurd. It honestly is. He's going to need a little bit more armor to sustain it. Now he walks into all 5 of them. Does he have the backup? They're going to life break into him, but it's the Huskar to take more damage. Tornado EMP going to land on the Dragon Knight and the Bristleback, but in the meantime, the Invoker himself dies as they hex up to 4, looking to focus him down. Quist is still surviving. Is tilted. Is going to be burned down by the Huskar Spears, but dies to the Dragon Knight's right clicks just the same. Only 1 sack into the burning Spears is not going to be enough as they charge in, catching out Lucky. Ramses is going to eat a face full of Rocket Barrage, but with an Earth Spike, they'll kill off the Leshrac. Finger of Death, long range. Eknart secures the double kill, and now with the Dragon Tail, this might be a full 5-man wipe, and will be as Scary Faces wipe the floor.
And you just don't want to fight into double damage this early on. Dragon Knight, just that increased range, of course, popping into that Elder Dragon form, doing a ridiculous amount of damage, finishing up the Huskar, and like I said, the life break, it felt like it damaged the Huskar more than it did the Bristleback there. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, percentage-wise, I guess it's kind of similar there, but with this Bristleback survived rather on low health at one point, but do they even have an urn? Yeah, they do. Probably an urn charge was used on Quista as well. They're getting himself back into fighting shape, but that's gonna be the Octarine core finished up rather shortly, and it's 7.3k the net worth on the Bristleback. And
this is ridiculous.
To be honest, if you look at it now, it's kind of good that he died in between, because now he is not on a like 7 kill streak, it's just a 2 streak at the moment, but he's gonna get ganked. Oh wow, he's not gonna make it out from this.
No, this is a 5-man gank in smoke. They wrap around on Quista. with no map vision around, I can understand why Questa didn't expect that, but it's pretty mandatory that they get those kills. If you take a look, Scary Faces had no idea. In fact, they have no wards on the map right now. That's a bit of an issue. Maybe if they had wards, they could have spotted them out as they smoked, but a really big pickoff for Next.kz. Everybody involved got upwards of 300 experience, or actually just under 300 experience, and the Huskar, importantly, is going to get a lot of gold from that. It's a late armlet, sure, but it's at least something, right? He's had a terrible game up until this point.
Definitely the case of better late than never in this situation for them. Also, Gyrocopter would like to have a little bit more farm, I think. Only has the drums and face boots for now, but they're gonna get the tier 1 unless it's denied. They're still the Dragon Form. They get the stun into Lucky. Nice Earth Spike, perfect angling. The cooldown will land onto 4 at least, and Eckhart, he gets jumped, tilted. Out of mana completely thanks to the EMP. There's the tornado as well, tilted. Just can't do anything, suddenly hexed up as well. Ramses, he's on the run, and well, they will get the Huskar in return, but it's a 2 for 2.
Yeah, it's probably about as good as it gets, but now they bring in the big guns. Bristleback's charging in and is going to go straight on to mid. He has 4 stacks of the goo. There's no surviving there. Dies to another Death Quills. Spiritbreaker, in the meantime, was chased down by the Gyrocopter. Can Topor get out if you're alive? It looks like the answer to that is yes, because he's pretty darn fast with those phase and drums. Nobody else can cut him off. 3 for 3 after the dust settles, and that is going to be pretty good for Next.kz, although it's pretty close to even. They get a lot of gold for their Huskar and Gyrocopter, and I think that's a little bit more important than getting some extra gold for your Chen.
Oh, it certainly is, and if you look at the graphs now as well, it used to be about an 8,500 lead, which is reduced to about 6k now in net worth. XP from about 6 to 4 or so as well. So although they're still a lead for Scary Faces and they're looking good in general, it was a fight that could have gone so much better just by the virtue of Bristleback being there earlier. Bristleback though did arrive a little bit late to the party, so that was one of the reasons there as well. And of course, well, if the cooldown hits 4 people, it's pretty bad for the enemy side. I mean, Scary Faces, Eknard as well as Shadower, they got jumped so fast by the Huskar there with the cooldown.
Yeah, and for the first time in a long time, Huskar was actually able to get his damage off. There were so many Burning Spears thrown out in that last fight. He really wasn't touched until the very end. Eknart does have a Blink Dagger, however, on the line, and a very fast one, too, for the team. Again, it's a situation where the team that's getting ahead is just getting so many items, especially for their supports, and I think this is something we're going to see a lot in this patch in particular, is just where when you get these kills and get to the early advantage, your heroes just have such a commanding lead with their raw power level. Supports are already good without items, and that's why you see them picked as supports, but then just with that little bit of extra gold, they can do so much. Blink Dagger on line's incredible. There's going to be Roshan attempt by Next.kz, and it looks like Scary Faces aren't going to crash this one. This is a nice second life for one of their cores. Maybe Huskar, maybe Gyro.
So, looking at the Bristleback stash at the moment, has he just let go of his Octarine build, or?
I suppose so, for the time being. I expect him to go back for it eventually, but he's deciding that Blade Mail is going to be a little bit better in the immediate game, and I think that's fair enough, although I think he's already committed so hard for it. If he's not dying and doesn't need to panic buy items, I think he probably could just, I don't know, keep on going for that Octarine, but it is a very steep build-up, so I can understand the reasoning behind it. I do like the extra bit of armor for the Bristleback. He is pretty low in that department, only getting the extra armor from Basilius.
It still feels a little bit weird. I mean, Soul Booster, kind of a huge investment there by itself, but at least it does give you extra survivability and also lots of extra mana for you to spam out those quill sprays. Especially with the Ring of Passy helping a little bit there as well with that region. But, well, he's still number 1 in net worth. He's like 2,500, a little bit extra even above the Radiant side. Also, Dragon Knight just now finishes his BKB, has that level 2 Elder Dragon form. And they should be fight ready. In the meantime, Next.kz made for them Invoker, trying to build up that Orchid, needs a... Oh, only the recipe actually, so not that far. Definitely gonna be a hell of a lot faster than the Queen of Pain from last game.
Yeah, it's going to be about a 90-minute Orchid or so, maybe a little bit after that, or before, depending on how the next couple seconds of the game go, really. But even so, the Invoker is going to be online and can contribute to these fights. They're still fairly far behind their counterparts on the Scary Faces team, but can still take engagements pretty effectively. The combination of Fade Bolt plus Breathe Fire is actually pretty sick if Rubik can get his hands on it. The damage reduction is very significant inside these fights. 35% from Breathe Fire, and just the flat damage reduction coming out from Fade Bolt.
Yeah, good thing that Scary Faces, a lot of their damage is just purely quill sprays as well, so that's gonna help out a little bit in just getting that damage out anyway. But they are grouping up in the trees, so there's the smoke. It isn't gonna get scouted, but they are rather far from most of Next.kz. Maybe they're gonna find Huskar though in the jungle, but Huskar, he's also gonna group with his team. Do they also have a smoke? They do indeed on the Rubik. And with that Aegis, that is probably a reason to go and pick a fight yourself, just having that extra advantage in the fight. But even with the Aegis, should they be going for fights?
Oh, blinking by Lion after the smoke pops. He guesses the wrong direction. However, Huskar was down towards the south. Call down is going to be committed. And Scary Faces are going to casually walk that one off. Next.kz couldn't catch anybody with that pseudo initiation. Pretty awkward there. Scary Faces didn't have any eyes up on the high ground. They had to go for that blind blink in by the Lion. That could have been disastrous either way, but in the end, nobody dies. Just traded cooldowns and the smoke used by the Scary Faces side.
It was probably even lucky for the Lion that he misguessed the direction, because had he blinked the right direction, he would have blinked into like 4 people. But oh, Tornado EMP. Bristleback is gonna get EMP, but still has plenty of mana. Gets Arcane Boots used on him as well by Shadowware. And even the homing missile gets killed before it reaches him.
Well, at the moment, Scary Faces is going to put together this push again. A lot of auras being offered by the Chen and company. The dominated creep at the moment for Next.kz is a Wild Wing Ripper for the Gyrocopter. That's going to help quite a bit in this next fight, but right now it's just a bit of an awkward positioning game. Bristleback does have his Blade Mail up and running. Quista is going to be very prickly inside these fights. Now that I think about it, I do like Blade Mail this game more than most. The AoE damage that Next.kz have is pretty immense, and also, for the most part, unavoidable. So if you can't avoid it, why not just return it back to the sender?
It's definitely not a bad item to go for, and I probably still would have liked to see it before the soul booster in this situation, but it's fine either way. We already see that just having the extra mana pool has helped him out. Just you get EMP, you still have enough to quill spray, so that's one positive. As oh, Shadowware was close, but they get them EMP, but no other lockdown to just keep the Bristleback in.
They're going to throw a Breathe Fire, lift up to Bristleback, now pulling back in the rest of the team. Rock Barrage is going to come in, but with the Blade Mail, there's no way that they actually focus on Quista. He hardly takes any damage at all, totaling about 300 or so.
Nice, Bristleback, way too beefy, and they still have the Hand of God as well, although it is only level 1, so Chen really hasn't found the time to properly farm up. Although he has some pretty decent kill participation, 9 out of 17, so not that bad even. But just unable to properly get those levels going for himself, really trying to help his team, trying to rotate around with his creeps. And they have managed to destroy 4 out of the 6 towers, whereas the enemy side has taken down, oh, only 2, just the tier 1s for now.
Well, at the moment, this is really slowed down a lot. Scary Faces aren't farming particularly fast, and they're getting about the same income as Next.kz. The graph is very much petered out at about a 7,000 lead for Scary Faces. There have been a couple of traded spells here and there, but no major fights, and I think that's favoring Next.kz in all honesty. Scary Faces now have waited out the Aegis successfully ever, so Gyrocopter isn't going to have that second life, so maybe that's the go-ahead to look for a push. Charge over in the sidelines, catches out Huskar, but by himself, Spiritbreaker can't get that kill.
What they're saying, you got to have faith. You got to have faith in the bashes, just every hit you bash. Easy kills, easy life. But yeah, in all honesty, it's just probably smarter to back the hell out of there. In the meantime, Bristleback, up to another 2k gold. He's really the one having massive farming priority in their team. And now, with the Aegis being down, they are pushing in. They have the Chen army. They pop the Elder Dragon form as well even, and they are ready to go.
They'll keep up that tick damage on the tower from the Dragonite, and this tower is going to melt slowly but surely. Quista going to turn his back to the missile as they open up with an EMP tornado over onto the Dragonite, but that's BKB'd out of. They open up in the sidelines, burst down the Invoker with the Finger of Death. Now catch out David K. They'll chase him down and then bring him down just as quickly as Scary Faces. Although it took a little bit longer than maybe they would have liked to, have managed to find the fight that they've been waiting out for. They'll now put some pressure on high ground. Buyback from the Rubik. No buyback available for the Invoker. At best case scenario, this is a 4v5. Call down going to be spent to clear up the creep wave as fast as they can. And it looks like Scary Faces probably will be repelled after the fact. Can they get out cleanly? The Split Earth is going to miss. Lucky. Not going to be very lucky with that stun, and in the end, Scary Faces are going to be happy that they got a tier 2, got a successful fight, and forced out a buyback from Rubik. By every account, that's good.
Yeah, also they got more than half damage done on the tier 3 on top of all of that. And to be honest, they really need the kills as well beforehand, because like we just saw, if the heroes are actually alive, it is extremely hard to go and push, like Lightning Storm, the cooldown being there. Even the Chen creeps, which are so much tankier than the normal creep is, even they just got kind of demolished there. But we do have the Octarine core now done on the Bristleback. Man, like I said, the cooldown reduction, the snot, the quill sprays, they're gonna be coming out probably too fast for Next.kz to handle.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of people when they pick up the Octarine core think about heroes with really long cooldown ultimates and long cooldown spells, but I think it benefits these really spammy heroes, especially Bristleback, because it increases his damage by so much. That extra quill is an extra stack and an extra bit of damage that you're able to pump out. They have the Guardian Greaves now on the Chen, so even though he didn't directly pick them up, Quista is going to benefit from that extra bit of health and mana inside the fights. This is pretty scary, although they don't have another pair of Arcanes, which maybe is a little bit unfortunate for the Scary Faces side, as EMP is still going to do its damage. They have the BKB on the Dragonite to avoid that. BKB on the Spirit Breaker, short incoming, just about 10 gold or so away till Spirit Breaker has that done. And, well, they're getting a lot of tools, and Next.kz, they're not without their leaps in power, but really they need this Gyrocopter BKB before they can even think about fighting, and even after that, their damage is not going to scale particularly well against Black King bars.
Yeah, it's really just Next.kz struggling for farm with all of them. Gyrocopter, even though in last game, for example, Scary Faces had a Gyro and still lost the game, at least the Gyrocopter had just more farm, got the BKB faster. Maybe this due to just him completely finishing up drums, going for the fully finished Helm of the Dominator as well. Although this game, it's like, maybe he should have gone for just a pure Helm of Iron Will and not pick up the Morbid Mask, just because the armor is definitely necessary up against Bristleback. Even the Spirit Breaker, as was the Dragon Knight to some extent, but there's the BKB on the Spirit Breaker. They have a haste plus a Shadow Blade on the Dragon Knight, and they're well, probably gonna have an Aegis soon enough as well. Next.kz, if Scary Faces go for the Roshan, I think Next.kz they have to contest that one.
Yeah, and, well, it's a story of whether they can and whether they'll actually know what's going on. Bristleback also, with this Octarine core, is incredibly good at taking down the Roshan. His armor is going to be melted off of him with the Chen creeps to tank. This is very sustainable, though Next.kz are coming in from the sidelines. They're smoked up, they're going to call down in the pit, and this fight's going to be a brewing. They're going to steal Holy Precision from the Chen. Maybe can steal a creep, but regardless, the fight's breaking out. BKB's popped on both sides. They'll look for the enemy as Huskar leaps over the sidelines for Eknard, but can he actually kill off this Lion? The Gyrocopter, Rubik, and Lash are already dead as Tilted notches a triple kill. They'll chase down forward for this Huskar, Dragon Tail him up, earn him down, and charge him into oblivion. He's going to be flying through there as he's bashed an Earth Spike. And, well, that's nothing but a win for SFZ. They lose their Chen, but that's a small cost to pay for such a good fight.
Yeah, it wasn't even, I think it was just full-on 3-man cooldown, both just missiles hit there as well. And Chen, he didn't even get killed by Next.kz, it was Roshan actually slamming the Chen down there. Just because there are so many units around Chen due to the Chen creeps, or around Roshan rather, due to the Chen creeps. The slam came out and, well, even that one kill was kind of denied to Next.kz.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for them. Next.kz, I'm not sure they can defend this. Bristleback is going to have a full Vlad's very shortly. He's about 200 gold away from that. That's pretty much an all-in item for this push. And with the Aegis, killing him once is hard enough. Killing him twice seems almost impossible, in all honesty. I think the best they can hope for is to drain his mana and then kite him around. Killing him isn't possible.
Life is hard for Next.kz for sure at the moment, but I think Scary Faces, they're at least gonna wait out that Elder Dragon form, then go and... In the last fight, did Lion also use the Glimmer Cape on somebody while they were in the cooldown or straight after? I'm not too sure if he had it before that fight even, but... It's just gonna be something that's also gonna help them just fight, tank things up in the future here. Whereas still... Looking at item progression, Gyro still doesn't have the BKB. He's rather close, so I think before the last fight he might be able to get it, but even then, you may have the BKB, but not entirely sure if Gyrocopter by himself is dishing out enough damage.
No, it really doesn't feel like it, especially the physical damage coming out from the Gyro. It's hitting for 150 a pop, which is respectable, especially when you get that flat cannon damaging everybody on the enemy team for that much, but it's not enough to get kills outright, and it doesn't seem like there's enough to push somebody over the edge to actually get those kills. Next.kz's AoE control and AoE damage is decent, but the Huskar isn't big enough and isn't farmed enough to really go into the backlines and fight. And now that Dragonite has this Silver Edge, Huskar's a dead hero. Berserker's Blood gets disabled by that break, and without Berserker's Blood, he melts.
This is gonna be really rough for him. But we do have the Glimmer Cape for Lucky as well on the Leshrac, but what are the odds of him being able to activate that item on the target who gets Finger of Death?
Let's see. I don't think it's really possible. It's very hard to do, but even so, it's nice to have inside the fights. Just being invisible for a little bit of time for Lucky is maybe time that Scary Faces aren't going to focus him down. At the moment, I don't think they have very much detection on themselves. In fact, they don't have any sentries, so maybe that's 4 seconds where he can get off some damage from his ulti, which is 4 seconds that he wouldn't have otherwise. But let's see. BKB on the Huskar as well. If Next.kz are going to take a fight, this is probably the time to take BKBs on both of them.
Well, they go in, David K drops so low, and there's the life break, but it's just nearly not enough. There's the Spirit Breaker ultimate Nether Strike as well, and they're gonna lose the Huskar. No buyback, top ward. He's in the middle of everybody, but there's really just no outcoming damage, and GG is already called.
A pretty anticlimactic end to this game, but Scary Faces are going to flex their muscles in a pretty big way. It really felt like Next.kz just didn't get any momentum. That Huskar pick, it was peculiar, and as you said, it was a very volatile pick. It wasn't very reliable by any means, and that kind of showed this game. He died so many times in the laning stage, just never got anything done, and really kind of felt like the majority of Scary Faces, or Next.kz's heroes rather, couldn't do anything, and everybody from Scary Faces had a goal, and was able to succeed in that. They all died 2 times on their heroes, and well, although it's nice symmetry and all, it kind of shows how they played. They 5-manned like the entire game and just never really lost anybody.
Yeah, extremely well done by Scary Faces, taking the first game, advancing to the winners match, but we are going to have one more series coming up today. It is going to be 4 Clovers and the Leprechaun up against CDIT, I do believe, a team just coming in from the open qualifiers. So one more best of 3 coming up, and actually the lobby is already up for it as well, so no long talk here. Gonna play some music, and hopefully the next game will start within only a couple of minutes.